Today I started to disassemble the Patrol because there is some rust that I have to fix. Also, I want to put some heat and sound insulation on the floor and also on the roof. The thing is pretty messy, so I will have to also wash the entire roof. But first I'll have to dismantle it. Thankfully, a friend let me use his property, so I will have a place to work on the Patrol for the upcoming weeks. It's a mess for the moment. I disassembled the navigation, the original one, as I want to ditch it completely and install a Garmin unit. Maybe something for off-road with tracks. And I also disassembled my Sony multimedia interface. The car is in pretty good shape. There is some rust, nothing on the rear passenger seats. Of course, since this is a utilitarian vehicle, there are no rear seats, but there is my bed for the overlanding camping, and hopefully I will be able to remove all the rust without damaging too much of the original bodywork. So if it would focus there is a hole. You see, there is a hole there that I will have to fix, to patch it, clean the wheel arch on the outside and the inside, then patch it with some epoxy and metal. The rest, there is some rust here near the fuel pump, and also I made a hole here while cleaning the rust. Once I put the power tool, everything just fell down. Yeah, and there is some rust here. I'll have to address that as well. This part is wobbly, I'll have to fix it. Okay, then I will just remove the ceiling, clean everything, ditch the old heat insulation, which is kind of smelly, and I will install a brand new one and wash the entire hood liner. So yeah, a lot of work ahead. I just hope that in a month or two I'll finish everything. I arrived to a section that is taking far longer than I anticipated initially. So there is this factory isolation material. It's like 4 millimeters thick, 5, maybe 5. It's very tough. It's kind of butyl rubber, some kind of butyl rubber or polymer or something like this, reinforced with some fiberglass. It's pretty hard to remove, and I don't have a heat gun with me, which I think is a big mistake. So I resorted to cutting it with the Dremel. It's eating discs like there's no tomorrow, but it's going. Things are moving on. I managed to do all this in like 30 minutes to chop every single part. I'm cutting like sections 2 by 3 centimeters, and I'm advancing. I think I'm gonna cut like this and then clean up the metal, prepare it, and then apply some primer and some paint. After that I will buy some new insulation material. I've seen that there is this kind of material from STP and also some other manufacturers. It's a bit hard to exemplify because I forgot my tripod at home, naturally. So I'm gonna cut with my left hand. It's gonna be a bit awkward, just to show you how quickly the Dremel eats through this material. So position 4 or 6 is pretty sufficient. So that's it. Now I'm moving it up with the lever. I'm easily pulling it up with the lever like this, and it pops off. Pushing it up, it will tear along the cut. Will tear this part along the cut, and beneath there is rust. I cleaned the surface as much as I could with all kind of power tools. Now I'm gonna clean it perfectly with acetone and paint thinner, and then I'm gonna apply some coat of rust converter. I applied the first coat of rust converter. This thing is advertised to remove heavy rust, surface rust that is. My goal is to remove whatever rust I didn't manage to clean mechanically with the power tools. So I can see it's already started doing something. It's reddish, pinkish, white pinkish in color initially, but once it reacts with the rust, it converts the color to this blue, indigo, violet tone. That's interesting. And what's even more interesting is that it reacts quickly, even with the dust, with the rust dust that I might have missed cleaning up with acetone and paint thinner. I'm pretty impressed. The documentation says that it's gonna turn black once the rust is completely converted. I'm not sure how long it takes, but I expect by tomorrow it would be ready to paint. Of course, I will have to address the underside of the car as well. The same treatment. Mechanical rust removal, then paint thinner and acetone for cleanup. And at the end, a layer of rust converter. For the record, this is made by a company called Förch. It's made in Germany, and the reviews were pretty much convincing. It's the first time I'm using such rust converter, and I'm pretty happy with the results. This is gonna be a test surface, and tomorrow I will clean up that section mechanically. Unfortunately, I'll have to use the Dremel and hand tools because my grinder doesn't fit that place. I'm pretty impressed. Look, there is still rust embedded in the metal here, although I used heavy duty clean metal cleaner polisher, or whatever that is called, disc. You can see it mounted on the Bosch grinder, and I also use the Dremel to fine tune to clean the surface more granularly. And even though there is still rust remnant, but thankfully the metal is very good. You see, this was all rusty, and it sounds sane. So far I cleaned the entire surface of the trunk, then applied rust converter after I thoroughly mechanically cleaned all the rust. There were some spots that I couldn't correctly clean mechanically, so the rust converter did its job. After that I repaired the holes. For instance, here there was a hole in the floor, and I used some fiberglass mesh and some epoxy resin. And after many layers, I think 4 or 5 layers, the thing became as hard as a rock. Then I painted the remaining part of the floor. And this section next to the fuel pump. There was another hole here. This entire part was a hole, and I used the same fiberglass mesh and epoxy to fill it. Then I painted the remaining section of the fender. Of course, there was really no rust in this section, and less in this section. But since I just want to add that soundproofing material, I just wanted a clean and perfectly fine surface for that to adhere to. So once the paint will cure, this is a Hammerite hammer effect, something like this paint, and I applied it sparingly. Once it will cure, I will be able to apply that material. I don't really care about how perfect it looks, how great it looks, or anything like this, since the entire floor is gonna be covered by that soundproofing material. Things are progressing on the front side. I finally applied the first layer of paint, but there is still this section to be fixed, and I will address it next. And of course there are smaller dots, points of rust, as you can see here. Similarly, on the other side, I started to clean the rust there as well, and I will apply paint, a rust converter, then clean the excess and finally paint it. And after that I'll be able to add the sound and heat proofing material over the factory sound deadening. See, there is already a quality job done here, and the same here. Here, where the material is removed, you can hear a different sound pitch, and here is a different sound pitch. Oh, and by the way, here is the rust converter. There was a small rusty spot here, which I mechanically cleaned, and then thought to just apply some slight rust converter. So I added the first layer of STP material. This is some kind of polymer with a thin aluminum foil. It should be reducing low frequency vibrations, and I don't think it provides any heat protection. And the knocking test. there's a very slight difference in sound, but I think it will it will become way obvious once I fill the entire roof area. For now, the Patrol looks like this. The front side I almost finished, still have to paint on the driver's side. And then I could add this material throughout the entire floor and complete the insonorization. Hopefully I will also be able to do the trunk today. Everything just dried out. I think it's been hit here by the former owner, but it doesn't affect me since this whole area is gonna be covered by a trim, and then here is gonna be the drawer system and upside the bed. Current situation is that I almost completed the rear side of the car. These are the sheets of material. It's actually twice the size. This is cut in half. And this is how the trunk looks. I will fill the gaps later on. It's not mandatory at all, but it's easier to apply the second foam layer if I have a quasi-level surface. I also did the roof, this section and the middle section. It was a bit difficult to add the material on this side of the car, but I eventually did it. I will also apply a small sheet here. It's not really relevant, but as I said, it's easier to apply the foam layer. Quite a bit of sound difference, but honestly, outside is burning hot and this thing is burning hot as well. It's normal, it's aluminum after all, and rubber. And I will continue with the middle part of the car, middle section of the car, and the front section. Of course, the Patrol looks a bit sad. It's normal. In a month or two, it will be ready to go. And I fixed completely this section and the one there. I would just have to clean everything with isopropyl alcohol and then apply some rubber compound just to level up things. It's like some sort of silicone, but it resembles more the one that is used to fix the windshield and various other glass parts of the car. Finish the trunk, finish the rear seat area and under the front seats. Also, all four accessible roof sections. Under the front seats, it was quite a difficult job. It took me a lot of time to measure and cut, trim all these small pieces in order to assemble the big puzzle. I applied the second layer of insulation on the roof. It cuts the heat a bit, not much, but it's less warm than this beam. Outside there are like 35 degrees centigrade, and it's a bit harsh as working conditions, but I'm advancing nonetheless. I did this section. This is the last part of the roof. Then this section, also this one, and now I was working on this part of the roof. It's gonna be a bit more tricky when I arrive the front side, since there is the top window, I will see if and how I could apply some material, hopefully at the beginning of the roof in the front side, so that the heat won't affect me while I drive in Africa, for instance. So this is the material. It's some kind of foil over some foam, and on the rear side there is an adhesive, a polymer of some sort. It's green. Let me see if I can show you on a smaller piece. So just peel this thing off, and it's a green sticky rubber-like compound material of some sort. It just sticks to the surface, and then using the roller you make sure it's completely stuck on the roof. Of course, I already passed with the roller on this section, so everything is how it should be. This material is like 6 millimeters thick, and I'm actually planning to double this. It's quite good, I'd say. It's like, I don't know, 30 degrees, something like this, without an infrared thermometer, compared to this, which is like 50, 60 maybe. You can just barely touch it and it will burn in the afternoon sunlight. So as I said, it's 35 degrees outside at the shade, in the shade, and this thing is doing a pretty good job. Actually, this is a soundproofing material, but it kind of works like a heat barrier of some sort. So given that I have enough of this material, I will just double the entire roof section. I installed the third layer of the material. You can see it here. This is the second layer. This is the third layer. It's the same material that I applied once again over the second layer to improve heat transfer. Well, apparently I made a mistake. This material, this STP Accent 6, it's supposed to be mounted on the floor. That's right. And I just mounted 2 layers of this material on the ceiling. Well, I think there is no issue, since there is quite a lot of space in the Patrol between the hood liner and the actual ceiling. Thus, I will install the STP B-Plast material. You see, it's like some kind of foam which can compress very, very well. I will just install the 4th layer. But anyway, I think I will have the most insulated Patrol out there with 4 layers. The first one being the STP Aero, then 2 layers of STP Accent 6, and then the 4th layer, actually the foam. And by the way, I de-rusted and then painted these beams. They're not seen, they're hidden by the hood liner, but knowing that there's a bit of rust there, it's actually not that good. Once applied, the material looks like this. It's very difficult to apply since it's very thin and the adhesive is very sticky, and I think it looks quite nice. And now I don't feel sorry anymore for having 4 layers. I think I did a good job. although I didn't intend to do this at all. My initial thought was just to apply the first layer of noise absorbent, vibration absorbent, the STP aero, and then this material, so only 2 layers, but I ended up with 4. So far I finished the rear section of the car with the 4th layer of material. But hopefully I could fit here some of that foam. I have no chance of fitting the foam here, since this sliding part will overlap whatever material is added in this section. I will make a test, but I don't have high hopes. There is little clearance here, and I already stuffed 2 layers of this material. The front section of the roof was a bit more difficult due to clearance, so I applied the first layer. As you can see, I had to twist my hands a bit in order to reach all these small spaces. I literally reconstructed this whole section to bring it up to the level of this material right here. So I ended up adding 3 layers of this STP material. It's the aero one, and I pressed each of them very well with the roller. And now I have a pretty solid base over which I will lay one final layer of STP aero. This is what I had in mind when I started the repair. So this material doubles both as vibration dampening and a very bit of thermal blocking. Mostly none, but better than nothing. And then I will come with the STP accent 6mm, and finally the noise block, and then the felt and the carpet. Pretty happy with the results so far. I'll have to do the front section, and here is the area that I rebuild, and here is the first layer of STP accent 6. This is a softer material, and it actually breaks if you apply force to it. The cells inside break, so it's not recommended to apply it if you have things to do on the roof. So that's why I finished the roof first. And now I'm just adding the STP accent material over the aero. Also, I applied a layer of STP aero on the material on the firewall, not because I want to dampen any vibration or anything like this, but because the underlying material actually was disintegrated even at the slightest touch. So I decided to cover it up entirely with this rubberized polymer aluminum compound, just to give it some strength. And since I'm here, I might as well add a layer of STP accent 6 just to help reduce any noise that might come through the firewall. The quantity of dust and dirt and grime behind the instrument cluster is like crazy. I'm gonna clean this all together since it smells quite bad. I will remove completely the dashboard panel This is the instrument cluster. There are some burnt light bulbs. So I'll remove the dash panel. It's in pretty good condition as it's been resurfaced. Not sure how it's called, the operation. But it's pretty smelly. Whoever did the operation did a pretty messy job without cleaning anything. But that's about to change. Oh, by the way, I installed the cleaned roof window cover and it's working pretty well. I will install the hood liner next, but first I'll remove the dashboard and continue my cleanup. So I removed the dashboard and vacuum cleaned a bit of the dust, but there is still grime, dirt, and this material, it's pretty much disintegrating when attempting to force it, even by a fair bit. The rest is just typical wiring gloom and dirt. This is gonna be a couple of hours of elbow grease for sure. And finally I put the hood liner in position. I still have to put the rear side and get rid of these plastic clips. Also install the front top console and the middle light. I finished with the second layer with the accent 6, and all sides of the car have been completed except the driver's footwell. I also did the rear of the dashboard. Of course, I mounted the hood liner completely. Still have to mount the lamp. On the rear side I will have to do the trunk as well, but I'm gonna handle this at the end. Well, now I'm gonna apply some tape over the joints, not because it's needed, but because this rubberized adhesive smells quite rubbery, so to say. So I'd like to trap as much as I can inside. As I said, the footwell is still pending, but otherwise I advanced pretty well. Still have to clean up the dirt in some hard to reach places, like behind of the climate unit. But I'd say that things are progressing well. I apply the tape. It's standard adhesive aluminum tape. If I were to do this whole job from ground zero again, I would for sure cut the boards differently, just to optimize workload and time. This is the third layer, the STP noise block. This is a very heavy material with a so-so adhesive. That means you can only mount it horizontally. To ensure better mechanical protection, I will also add some aluminum tape over the joints. This way there won't be any risk for me to damage the material while continuing working on the car. But as I'm seeing it, I will add a plastic foil over the entire surface once I finished, and then add the new carpet. The tires are secured by aluminum tape. making progress in the front right of the car, the passenger footwell. And the driver's side. This is the second layer completed. Now I'm going to add the third and final layer, the noise block. And behind the dashboard. Things are slowly progressing. Also ordered a new steering wheel. This one is damaged beyond a cheap repair. Thus I decided I would go with a new steering wheel. And ordered a new gear shift knob. I removed the airbag control unit and then applied the insulation all over the place. Now I'm gonna put the airbag control unit back. It is this one, and it has 3 connectors. I think chair, and control plus dashboard. I finished insulating the floor on the driver's side under the seat. Now I will apply the third layer, the noise block. As I did in the backside. The final layer is applied, so there is now continuity between the left and right sides, and also the central transmission tunnel. This is the polyethylene foil that I will add as a 4th layer. I started laying the new carpet, another 3-layer operation, first one being the polyethylene foil, and then the felt, which I cut to the dimensions of the previous factory installed felt, and then there is the actual carpet, and you can see the felt underneath, already cut. And I am slowly advancing. This new carpet is made of 3 parts. It's actually 4 parts if we factor in the cargo area, which I haven't completed yet since the insulation is not ready yet. Thus, the rear side, then the middle side. I cut this part, and now I realize that I could have cut it even tighter. And I also cut this part, and now I'll have to trim the round edge so that it fits here. I'll have to do the same thing on the other side. It's a tedious job. Takes quite a lot of time, focus, and, as they say, measure 10 times, cut once. I'm advancing with the flooring, and it's beginning to look like a real car. I trimmed the front piece. I used the old carpet as a template, and I cut the area around the 2 gear shifters, also the place where the plastic trims all fit, and I apparently ordered a wrong driving side carpet. Well, I'm actually pretty sure I ordered the correct one, but apparently a factory that does 99% this kind of carpets. It's pretty easy for them to miss that we're driving on the right side of the road. But anyway, that doesn't bother me since I'm using rubber floor mats anyway. Great, now I'm going to remove the front side of the carpet and add the polyethylene foil, and then I will secure the carpet and proceed to the dashboard. I replicated the original disposition of the felt and I cut it to dimensions. I also secured the polyethylene foil down, and it's the same situation on the driver's side. And now I'm just gonna put the carpet and secure it in place. I think that concludes the work for the front side of the car. These are the remnants of the old carpet and the new felt that I cut. This is part of the entire front section of the old carpet. Then there is the rear section. I'm not gonna unfold it as it's pretty dirty. Now I'm just working on assembling back the puzzle. I'm still waiting for the new steering wheel to arrive. I'm mounting back the grills, the controls in the center console, and the remaining plastic parts, which are pretty much scattered throughout the car. I'm making progress. The carpet wasn't really plug and play, and I had to cut a lot of small parts, but I finally managed to make it fit. Another thing here, there is a small luft, but otherwise the thing fit well. I did holes for the cables and the ventilation shafts. It's funny to see that it's for the left-hand drive, but other than that, I think it's looking pretty nice, very factory-like. I made some progress in the trunk, and I added the 2 layers of STP insulation on the left fender and on the left wheel arch. Of course, there is some rust hiding over there. I'll have to address that, but I will first have to finish the interior. And there is a bolt that's broken here. I'll have to extract it, and some wires that are looking pretty dangerous, so to say. I will have to sort them out and do the job correctly. There was some rust there that I cleaned. I used the Dremel, and then some rust conversion solution. Finally, I applied some fiberglass tape and bicomponent resin. On the other hand, the other side is a bigger project, since there is a small hole over there. That's a pity. I will have to cut that entire area and reconstruct it. And there is also some rust hiding down there. It's gonna be tricky since my hands are not really reaching that section, but I will do my best. By the way, I insulated this fender with the first layer of STP Aero, The insulation goes throughout the entire fender and goes down in this section beneath the cable for releasing the fuel tank cap and all the way down there. I will have to put the second layer and maybe the third one. But first, let's address this rust. With the Dremel, because unfortunately nothing of my bigger power tools fits in there. And this section is gonna be a real pain in the butt. I started to clean the rusted section and more holes appeared. I will continue to do so. Unfortunately, my hand doesn't fit correctly there. I will mount a working light first and then we'll try with an endoscopic camera or a mirror of some sort. Otherwise, I'll really have a hard time to see what I'm doing there. But I will attack things systematically, and I will do first this section. I will fill the holes, I'll repair them, and then move on to the other section. This is the situation after the initial repair, after removing the rust and applying the rust converter. The metal is now ready to be filled in with bi-component epoxy and fiberglass mesh. Basically this thing, bison epoxy metal and fiberglass mesh. I progress slowly as I'm doing small chunks at the once. But things are going pretty well. This is the first layer and not everything is filled. A similar layer is on the other side of the wheel arch. Now, as I said, on the other side there is a similar layer that's being currently reconstructed. The interior, let's take a look. It's kind of messy. The tools of these panels, I haven't mounted them yet, but they look pretty rough. I'm gonna think about respraying them or maybe even replacing them if I find something of good quality. I didn't have time to replace the rear left window. I have it, but I didn't have time to do it. The carpet is in very good condition. I didn't mount the trim since I want to wash the seat belts, but time was not on my side. There is a problem here, but I'm planning to redo completely the chairs at a shop that handles car leather upholstery. On the front side, things look pretty good. The new steering wheel is looking good. I haven't put anything in the center console where the former GPS screen was, but that's gonna be food for thought for the winter. I will think about what to put there. Maybe a Android navigation, maybe a screen connected to a mini PC of some sort. I haven't made my mind yet. Otherwise, the car looks good. I am pretty happy with all the work that I did so far. There were like 3 to 4 months of work, and the results are pretty visible. I replaced the side steps. I'm seeing this every time I look at the side steps. I have a good friend that owns a paint shop, and after I finish the mandatory repairs, I will get the car to him so that he can do a professional job. So as I mentioned, I replaced the side steps, all new screws, all new supports, or how are these parts, L parts called? I painted that part, that bar in the middle of the chassis. I cleaned it, stripped it of the old paint and rust, cleaned it, and then repainted it. There are some more rusty sections, but I will address them starting the next spring.